some talk around the raw water cooler at the White House. President Biden is set to announce a windfall tax on energy producers due to their massive gains in profits. Too much profits. The tax will have to go through Congress just as elections to determine the majority party are in full swing. Garrett, is this a serious policy suggestion by Biden or just pandering to get votes?
Raising the cost of capital again on energy producers is going to reduce oil prices at home. How? We're literally like an ugly sweater and a sad tear away from a Jimmy Carter level malaise speech. This is just again, look. Nobody cried for the energy companies when they were running minus 80% margin in 2020. And the idea here that they're going to say historically you're going to pay these taxes over your historical profit margins incorporates 2020, which is kind of insane given the fact that had we not made certain changes, we could have seen vast numbers of bankruptcy in that industry. On the other side of this, however, it's already been attempted. It doesn't work. They're trying it in Europe. It's creating a problem. These policies are they're thrown together at the last minute. They start with the answer that they want, but they never take a step back to think about how it gets there. And then the other component of this is when all of this concern about profits around energy, which, by the way, profit is the mechanism for the greatest efficiency possible. You have people in Congress right now calling for the United States to nationalize oil. Gasoline would never be under $10 again if the government was running it. The concept here, the idea here that we would do this is a little nuts. They're obviously not going to get enough people to vote on this. But I will say, and I think it's really, really important, that when it comes to energy production itself, we have to get out of the way. And this is just more regulatory oversight. And if you're so concerned about profits, why aren't you going after Apple and Microsoft and the companies that have profit margins at 30%, let alone an industry with around a 7% profit margin, and then go down to the gas stations where the profit margins are really about 1% to 2%. It's just economic ignorance. End of rant.
This is you just got reality bomb by Garrett. But that's a great point, Garrett. Let's bring in Mark. Mark, what are some ramifications we could see if this actually goes through?
Well, it's not. This is silly. I mean, Biden said this and oil stocks were up yesterday. Nobody cares. This is just banter. And to Garrett's point, isn't Apple raising the price of the iPhone every year? Why? That seems to me like price gouging. Like they're going after the consumer, sticking it to the consumer while they bank more profits. Hey, didn't they used to come with earbuds? Maybe we need what we need to do is a windfall tax on earbuds. That is what we need. All right. You want to sell earbuds? There's a windfall tax on your earbuds and the cord that now charges your phone that doesn't come with the phone anymore either. Oh, that we need a windfall charge on that. Yeah, no, it's just banter. It should be ignored and markets are already ignoring it. So I don't know that I want to waste any more breath on something as silly as this. So breath done being wasted.
I'm Mark Sebastian, and I approve this message.com. Guys, let me ask you something real quick because we have a little time before we get into the Warlock's watch list. Look, the markets are up right now. We've been seeing that kind of lead up until the Fed meeting, but it's also up until these midterm elections. So would you be surprised if we see the market continue to rally, midterms come, and then that's where we could see another move lower? I've got kind of a three-case scenario, right?
Okay. So right now, the Fed the market is expecting some sort of accommodation in the language. We get that. I think we get kind of a relief sell-off, right? We've already baked that into the market. We get some sort of really big, huge change in language. That's where we can get a big rally. But what if the Fed doesn't change their language? What if the Fed stays the course? What if the Fed does what they've been saying they're doing? What does that do to the markets is kind of the question I have. The answer is we go right back to 3,600. So I think those are kind of the three cases that we've got. I think they've already priced in a mild change in language, which is what everyone's looking for. I don't know that we get a huge pop on that anymore. The move that we had was that pop. We need, in order to really make that 4150 level that I think a lot of people are looking where the short squeeze could truly get if the Fed changed language. I think we need a really affirmative change. On the downside, again, they hold the course, and I think markets are going to fall apart.
Sean, let me throw this to you. Your take. You've been following the Fed story as well.
I think I agree with I think the latter case that Mark just made. I think the rally is proof that everybody expects the quote unquote step down in terms of future rate hikes, and I don't know that they're going to get it. The Fed is obviously watching the markets. They're watching the conditions actually loosen in front of them before their meeting, and they're going to probably discuss, well, what do we do? How do we guide forward in terms of, no, we're not going to loosen because things are already getting loose without us doing anything. So I think there may be more hawkish than expected, and then I'm expecting a bit of a sell-off in here. But you look at the market today, this is all optimism of the step down, and that's where we could get a little bit of a shock and awe.
The meeting of the minds, guys. I love this. Look at that little surprise Fed take here, or as Kenny likes to call it, the market optimism. There's hope and faith.